This conference will now be recorded.
but I don't know when. Java concepts will talk for 3-4 days. So today I'm going to talk about inheritance. So inheritance in Selenium, it is used very widely, not by us. Yeah, we will be also using it in our frameworks. But in Selenium, if you see Selenium code, most of the places you will see some keywords like extends or implements, right? So that means we are using inheritance. Okay. So what is inheritance? Before I jump to my presentation, let me tell you here. Okay. So let us say, uh, okay, or let me go to Paint. Okay, so let us say I have some class, okay, and my class, I'll call it as a class 1, let us say. Okay, and my class 1 is having let us say 3 methods. Okay, my first method is method m1. Okay, it has some body, it has some method called as m2. Okay, and likewise. Okay, and now my requirement is, okay, so I have created a class, and in that class I already have method m1 and m2, and now I again want to use this method somewhere else in other classes as well. Okay, so what I can do is I can simply create object of this class and I can use them, right? But I don't want to create the object. Okay, I can directly use them by using something called as inheritance. Okay, so how to use these methods into other classes is something which we are going to talk now. Okay, so that is something called as inheritance. So what is inheritance? Inheritance is the mechanism in which one object acquire all the properties and behavior of the parent object. Okay, so what I'm saying is, here we have first class as class 1, and then let us say I have another class which I will call it as a class 2. Okay, so here I'll call what I'm saying is I want to use this method m1 and method m2 of class 1 into class 2. That means I am going to use all the properties and behavior of this class 1 into class 2, right? I want to use. So see, when we say properties and behavior, properties means all your variables and behavior means all your methods. That's what they define in the standard Java definition. Properties and behavior means your variables and methods. Okay, so I can use variables and methods of class 1 into class 2 with the help of something called as an inheritance. That's what inheritance is. It's the mechanism of using your objects and sorry, your properties and behavior, that means your variables and methods of parent class into a child class. Okay, that's what is called as parent child relationship. Okay, so we'll call this class 1 as a parent class, and we'll call this class 2 as a child class. Okay, so we'll understand this in a better way when we write some program. Okay, so two important advantage of inheritance is code reusability and method overriding. So code reusability, yes, because I'm going to reuse the same method. Method m1 and m2 are already written, and I'm going to use the same method into other classes. This definitely I'm achieving code reusability. Second is method overriding. So method overriding will talk when we talk about polymorphism. Okay, so not now, but yeah, that's the great advantage of using inheritance as well. So how to use inheritance? So we use something called as extends keyword. Okay, so this I'll show you practically how we use extends keyword to use all the methods and variables of class 1 into class 2, that is from parent class to child class. Okay, so this is, you can say it's general behavior. It's like, okay, so whatever my father own, I am going to own it again, right? So whatever my father have, whatever property my father have, that property is going to come me. That's what parent child relationship is, right? On the similar way, you can relate some same thing here. So whatever parent class is having, whatever methods, whatever uh, variables parent class is having, all those variables and methods can be used into the child class, except few conditions. Okay, so if it is a final, we cannot use them. Okay, we'll see that, but other than that we can get all the things into the child class. Okay, so we'll see how we can use extend keyword. Okay, so in this terminology of Java class, which is inherited, called as parent or superclass, and the new class is called as child or subclass. Yeah, so this top one is my parent class because I want to use the methods of class 1, so I will call class 1 as a parent class or super class. Okay, because from class 1 I am going to use the method, so it is parent class or super class, and the class in which I am going to use those methods is my child class or subclass. Okay, so what we'll do is now we'll create two classes and we'll see how this relationship happens. Okay, and a subclass inherits all the members, fields, members, and nested classes from its superclass. Yes. Okay, so let us create this practically first and then we'll understand. Okay, so I have created new package called as more Java concepts, and here I am going to create one class. Okay, and I'll name that class as inheritance demo 1. Okay, and I'll click on finish. Okay, so I have created one class called as inheritance demo 1, and here I'm going to create couple of methods. So I'll create public void method 1. Let us say I'll simply write m1, and I'll write some body into it. Just I'll write some print statement, and I'll call it as a m1 method from demo 1 inheritance demo 1. Okay, so I'll create another method and I'll call it as method m2, and I'll call this as m2 method from inheritance demo 1. Fine. Now what I want to do is okay, and I can define some variable as well. Let us say I'm defining some variable int var is equal to 10. Fine. Okay, now what I want to do is I have already created these methods over here and I want to use these methods into some other classes. Okay, so let us say I'm going to create another class. Okay, let me create copy of the same, and I'll make it as inheritance demo 2. That's perfectly fine, but in inheritance demo 2 I don't have these methods. Okay, it's the empty class, let us say. Okay, and now what I want to do is I have main method over here because I want to execute. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to use this m1 method and m2 method into this inheritance demo 2 class here. So how I can use it? I can use something like, first I will create the inheritance demo 1 object like this, inheritance demo 1 id is equal to new inheritance demo 1 and something like this, and then if I use something like okay id dot I should give something different name, ix dot. Okay, I'm not getting anything. Okay, why? Let's understand. Okay, uh, see what I was saying is I want to get all the methods from class 1 into class 2. That is, I want to get all the methods from inheritance demo 1 into inheritance demo 2. Okay, so uh, there are two possibilities. Whatever method I have in method inheritance demo 1, I will not be having it in inheritance demo 2. Okay, that's the one thing. Or I might need to rewrite this method in uh, inheritance demo 2. Okay, could be little confusing, but we'll understand it. Very first thing, we'll start with simple. Let us say I want to use this m1 and m2 method into this inheritance demo 2, and we saw that okay we can use something called as extends keyword. Okay, so the sorry, so the keyword name is extends keyword. Okay, and where to use we use that extends keyword, we need to use it at inheritance demo after class basically. Okay, so we need to use it here, extends. Okay, and then name of my parent class. What is my parent class name? It is inheritance demo 1. It is inheritance demo 1. right? So now if I'm using something like this, that is extends inheritance demo 1, then what will happen is all the methods whatever I have in this inheritance demo 1, all these methods can be used in this class, which is my child class now, right? So in this case this inheritance demo is my parent class, okay, and this inheritance demo 2 is my child class, okay, because I'm trying to get all the properties of inheritance demo 1 into inheritance demo 2. So inheritance demo 1 is parent and demo 2 is my child class, okay. Now how I can see if I'm able to access the properties? So I need to create instance of this inheritance demo 2, right? How I can create the instance inheritance demo 2, let us say d2 is equal to new inheritance demo 2, and that's it, okay. And if I do d2, okay, see, we learned, okay, we can create the object of the class, okay, and then we can access the methods out of that class. Let us say in the class I'm going to create another method, let us say called as public void m3, okay, which we do not have in that demo 1 class, okay. And I'll do so over here m3 method from demo 2. Okay, now what I'm expecting, I should be able to call this m3 method. So if I want to execute this m3 method, how I will execute? I'll create the object of the class like this, and then if I do something like d2, then I should be able to see m3 method, right? Because I'm creating object of this class. Okay, that's fine. But did you notice when I do d2 dot, okay, did you see I'm getting list of all the methods, I'm getting m1 m2 as well, right? And if you see next to that m1, it is coming from inheritance demo 1 class, m2 is coming from inheritance demo 1 class, right? That means I am able to get the properties of my parent class as well, right? So if you execute this now, d2.m1 and d2.m2, so you will be seeing that, okay, the methods are getting executed from inheritance demo 1, because it will print something like this m1 method from inheritance demo 1, okay. If I simply execute this, can you see it is calling m1 method from inheritance demo 1, it is calling m2 method from inheritance demo 1. So see, I'm creating instance of my inheritance demo 1 class, but still I'm able to access the methods of this demo 1 class. Why? Because I'm extending it, right? And if I'm extending, that means I will be acquiring all the properties and all the methods, all the variables to the my child class, okay. So if I do d2 dot, again what else I see? I see variable as well, okay. So that means I can access all the variables and uh, all the variables and methods, right? So this is how I can access the variable which is of my parent class, and this is how I can access the methods of my parent class. Simply I need to use extends keyword and name of my parent class, so that all the methods from my parent class will be used. There is one restriction: if I define a variable as final, I'll make it as final int, let us say fvar, and I will make it as, let us say, 100, okay. Now I was able to access variable over there var there. Now let's see if we can access fvar, okay. So if I do d2 dot fvar, okay, and I'll make it as 1000, am I able to execute? No, I'm getting like final field cannot be assigned, okay. I cannot do that, final field cannot be changed, okay. So that's the one thing. And let's see if we make
But
the
but
method as,
but one
yeah,
thing, the integer one where 10 we are able to access there, right?
right.
But that is not public. Then also it is accessible.
Which one? By default it will be public, right? So I'm creating another method, okay, which is static now, okay, and I'll call it as method sm1, that is static method 1, okay, and it is present in inheritance demo 1. And let's see now if I'm able to access this sm1 method. So if I do d2 dot sm1, okay, so I am able to access, but what warning I'm getting is it should be accessed in static way only, right? And what's the static way of accessing it? Static way of accessing is using the class name of inheritance demo1 dot sm1. So this is the proper way how we should accept this access this sm1 method, okay, not this. So if I use d2 dot sm1, yes, it will get executed definitely, but this is the proper way. Okay, if I execute this, I will should not get any error, should get executed. Can you see sm1 method demo is getting executed 2 times? That means both statement got executed. Fine. Now okay, so this is very straightforward situation. Now let us take a situation. I have method m1, m2 and sm1 over here. Fine. And in this my child class, I have method m3. Also, let us say I have method called as m1 because I want to write my own definition into m1. Okay. So let us say out of this parent class, I am using hundreds of 100 methods, but for 5 methods, I want to write my own implementation. Okay, so for those cases, let us say this is m1 method, and this m1 method I want to write my own implementation. Okay, so I'm writing here something like, here I want to write my own implementation. You're getting right why we might need this. So in the parent class, I might have some hundreds of methods, and I want to use, let us say I want to use maximum of method out of that parent class. So I will be using inheritance and using extends. So if I'm using extends, all the methods will get called from the parent class. Yes, but out of the 100 methods, for 5 methods, I don't want to use their 5 methods. Yes, the name should be same, but I want to have my own implementation for those 5 methods. Okay, and that's if in such a case, in such a situation, I'll be writing the my own method into uh, what I can call my child class. Okay, so here in my child class as well, you can see I have created one method called as m1, and I'm able to create. I didn't get any issues, right? In my parent class as well, I have method m1, fine. In my child class as well, I have method m1, that's fine. Okay, but you see that I have different implementation. I have different messages basically. Okay, that means different implementation. Okay, and if I execute now, okay, so earlier you see I was getting messages like m1 method from inheritance demo 1, m2 from inheritance demo 1, and m3 is from inheritance demo 2, right? So point to remember is m1 was also from inheritance demo 1, right? Now if I execute now after writing my own implementation in my parent class, now you see instead of m1 method, here I see here is I want to write my own implementation. That means the m1 method from my child class got executed, right? And this is called as overriding. Okay, and to understand the overriding, we should write some annotation called as override, right? uh, on the method which you are trying to override. Okay, it's not compulsory, but we can understand, okay, I'm going to override this specific method, right? Override means, okay, this method m1 is also defined in, when I see this keyword override, I should understand, okay, whatever method it is, it will be having implementation in its parent class. Where is its parent class? Its parent class is here. In parent class, I have the implementation m1, but I want to have my own implementation, and that's the reason I'm using my own implementation over here, and I am putting this override keyword over here. Is it clear still now?
Yeah. So there
Okay.
are M1, there are two same name method in both the class, but when you access to the second class object, so that class accessible method will be their class only, it will be displayed, right? Like
Yes.
here in D2 we are calling D2 dot M1, so it will call D2 M1 only, not D. Earlier it is calling like inheritance demo
Right,
one
right.
class calling.
Earlier it was calling a method from parent class, but
Right,
now
but now
it is
got
calling method
its
from
own
child class because I have overridden that method.
right.
Okay. And the advantage of using this override keyword is if I'm doing some change over here now, let us say I'm making some change instead of M1, I'm making it as a M21. I should get error. What the error is saying? The method M21 of time inheritance demo 2
Not
must
available
override
in
or implement a super type method. You are getting why I got this error now, because
because you have written override, so you have to remove your override.
right, otherwise I need to remove this override and then it should work.
Then it's fine.
Right,
So
right.
now it
Or
is
in
clear that method belong to this class only.
right, or otherwise what I need to do is if I'm changing method name over here, I need to use the same method name into my uh, parent class as
Parent
well.
class only. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
you
if
have
I
to
use
add
it
one.
here, then I see the error is gone. Right, so if I'm writing this override keyword, that means Java will take care that okay, this method is overriding, then you should be having that method in my parent class as well, and child class as well should be having same name. Okay, though we'll talk about this overriding
Here you
concept.
are using
Yeah,
Maven project, that's why you written override, or in normal Java project also you can write override.
no, in normal Java project also we can, it is coming from Java. You see, it is coming from package called as Java Lang.
So nowadays it is compulsory to write override.
uh Not compulsory, but it's very good practice to use it.
Okay.
Yeah. So this concept is called as method overriding. Okay, so as I said, we'll be talking about method overriding when we talk about polymorphism. In polymorphism, we'll talk about method overloading and method overriding. Okay, so that time also we'll talk. But in short, overriding is you have method defined in your parent class as well as your child class. In your child class, you will be defining because you want to write your own implementation. You don't want to use the method body from whatever you have in parent class. You want to write your own method body. So that's the reason we will create the method with the same name, and we will write override annotation so that this method will be understood by Java that okay, this is overridden method and this method name should be same, something like that. And at the runtime, this specific method from my child class will get called. Any questions till now?
No.
Okay, so fine. Now this is kind of a single inheritance. Okay, so I have created one class called as inheritance demo 1, and I am extending all its property into something called as inheritance demo 2. Fine. Now let me create another class called as inheritance demo 3. Sorry, what I did. Okay, let me create another class of with name inheritance demo 3, and let me delete all these things now.
How you create? You just copy paste that class, eh?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now I have created one class called as inheritance demo 3, and here if I extend inheritance demo 1, so here as well I can extend inheritance demo 1, right? Because if I want to use all the methods and properties from this inheritance demo 1 class, I can simply extend it in inheritance demo 3 class. And now when I create inheritance demo 3, let us say d3 is equal to new inheritance demo 3, and then by using this d3 I should be able to see the method called as m1 m2 and sm1. This is fine, you are okay with that, right?
Right.
Right, so this
The
is again
same way
kind of,
we access demo 2, we are accessing demo 3. So all two methods are accessible.
yes, so this is again kind of single inheritance, right? So the point to remember here is sorry. Okay, so in
D3 dot then
inheritance demo 1 I have only methods m1 m2 and sm1, and inheritance demo 2 I have method m3 as well, right? So in when I extend inheritance demo 1, this is again kind of single inheritance. Okay, but now if I inherit it with inheritance demo 2, what will happen is, now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to extend, let me put my charger, give me a second. Okay, now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to consider now this demo 3 as my child class and my parent class as inheritance demo 2, which is already a child class of some parent class, right? So this is hierarchical now, all right? So first I have this demo 1, then I'm using the properties of demo 1 into demo 2, and then I'm using the properties of demo 2 into demo 3. You're getting?
Right.
Right. So now if I do d3 dot, okay, and I should be able to see m1, m2 and m3. And can you see this m1 is coming from demo 2 now? This d3 dot, this m2 is coming from demo 1 now, right? Can you see now? This is coming from demo 1 class. This is coming from demo 2 class.
But M1 is available in both the class.
M1 is available in both the class, that's true, but it will take it from this inheritance demo 2 class only, because here we are overriding it and it will take the overridden method.
Okay.
Clear? So it's like, okay, whatever my grandfather was owning, my father will own that, and now it is coming to me. So it's like, okay, this demo 1, let's say it is my grandfather, and whatever properties my grandfather is having, all those properties are going to sorry, demo method 2. Okay, but he don't want my grandfather's house. Other than house, he want everything, right? Now my father is going to build a new house, right? Let us say that's my overridden method. Apart from that, other thing, I have the same one, right? So I will be able to access all the things. My father will be able to access all the things from my grandfather's property. And now if I am their child, right, so I should be able to access all the properties of my father, including whatever my father is getting from my grandfather, right? So you can relate the same thing. Clear?
Right.
Right. So this kind of inheritance is called as multi-level inheritance. Okay, so will in my presentation I should be having it, yeah. So the very first thing you see here, single inheritance on the very left corner, the class A and class B is having relationship. Class A is my parent class, class B child class. So whatever properties of class A are getting extended into class B. That's what we see in the very first demo. In demo 2 class, I'm getting property of one class into another class. So this is kind of your single inheritance. Right. Now then we saw about multi-level inheritance as well. So here we created three classes: demo 1, demo 2 and demo 3. So in demo 1 we are extending demo 2, which already getting extended here with the help of demo 1, right? So that means class properties of class A will be used in class B, whereas in class C the properties of class A and class B both will be used. This is called as multi-level inheritance. That's what we saw here in demo method 3. The same example what I told you, grandfather, father and child. Okay, so the similar concept, single and multi-level. The next thing is hierarchical interface, not interface, so hierarchical inheritance. This is again similar. Okay, so it's like, okay, I want to use this inheritance demo 1 methods into more than one classes. Okay, I'm using it in demo 2 class. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to create another class, and in that class I want to use, I'll call it as inheritance demo 21, right? So in demo 21 class as well, I am calling this inheritance demo 1 class, right? So that means I'm calling this inheritance demo 1 class uh, into more
Into
than
2
one
and
classes,
21. 2 and
right?
21.
Right. So the same thing is hierarchical. Class A is getting called in class B and class C, right? So whatever method I have in this inheritance demo, all methods, all the properties and method, all the properties and or rather I'll call it as all the variables and methods will be get called into something called as demo2 and demo21. That's what my hierarchical interface is. Clear still now?
Yes.
Okay, now we have two more things, multiple and hybrid, but it is not supported directly in Java. Okay, why it is not supported, that I'll tell you. uh, okay, so in multiple inheritance, what I'm saying is, in multiple inheritance I'm saying like, okay, this class A and class B, properties of class A and properties of class B both will be used in class C, right? And in hybrid as well I'm saying same thing. Okay, properties of class A will be used in class B, properties of class A will be used in class C, then class B and class C both property will be used in class D, kind of hybrid. But these both will not be supported in Java. Why? I'll show you why it is not supported. I'll show you one example I have in my PPT. Okay, so okay, so it is not supported just to reduce the complexity and simplicity, simply just to simplify the language. Okay, how? I'll tell you. Let us say you have some class called as class A and it is having some method called as MSG and it is printing something. You have again class B, it is having the same method. Okay, now you have class C where you are extending both classes, class A and class B. The same example what you have seen into the PPT. I have class C. In class C, I am extending class A as well as class B. So whatever method I have in class A and class B will get applicable to class C, right? So here you see I am extending A and B. Now I am creating object of class C. So now if I am doing this obj.msg, now this msg method is present in both classes, class A and class B, right? Now from where this method should get invoked, right? So this kind of problem is called as diamond problem basically, right? So Java JVM will get confused which method he should call, because I am extending two classes and both the classes are having same method names, right? So which method I should call? Here there is no concept of overriding because we are extending both the classes differently. Both are different classes, they do not have relationship with each other. This A and B do not have relationship with each other, but C is using the properties of both A and B, and now when C asks for this particular method, okay, A and B both are ready to provide method A and B because both are having, right? So which method should be used? So because of this issue, this multiple inheritance on hybrid inheritance is not supported in Java. You got why it is not supported, and this problem is called as the diamond problem basically. And to overcome this diamond problem, to overcome this multiple inheritance issue, there is a concept called as interface. Okay, so we'll learn about interface. We have a separate session for interface and abstraction, we'll learn it over there. But we can overcome this concept with the help of interface. Multiple inheritance is not supported in Java. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So fine, so let me tell you one more
But
thing.
just for understanding, I was reading this one. C++ supporting multiple inheritance.
Yes, it supports.
Then how did they identify if there is two method? Then maybe their compiler may understand.
This I won't be able to answer. I don't know C++.
I'm just thinking
Yeah.
because they are supporting, then there may be their compiler understand. And
Yeah, might be their compiler might be picking the one. For example, it might be picking the one which he finds very first. Like let us say if he find in A and B, then if he finds very first time in A, then he might use it in A. But I'm not sure. It might be something like.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, and one more thing I want to show you here is okay, let me go to now demo 2. Okay, in demo 2 what I did is I created uh, let me delete all this stuff now. Okay, so here what I did is inheritance demo2 d2 is equal to inheritance demo2. So here what I did is I created reference of demo2 and object of demo2. So the statement you understood, right? Reference of demo2 and object of demo2. Here I am creating reference of demo2 and I am creating object of demo2. Agree?
Yes, because this is the we are creating object of this
Class.
demo 2 class, right? Right.
Right,
That is a,
right. And this is how we read it. Reference of demo2 and is equal to object of demo2. Right.
right.
So in this case, let me just print some messages so that I can understand the difference. Okay. Now if I do d2 dot, okay, so I should be able to get all the methods. M1 is coming as overridden method. Okay, so this is method overriding. Method overriding coming from M1. Okay, and if I do again d2 dot m2, it is coming from demo1. Okay, basically getting called from parent class. Okay, right. And if I do again d2 dot, okay, I have again method m3 which is coming from demo2. Okay, demo2 class, child class method. Right, and we already seen it works perfectly. That's fine. Now let us let us understand something else. Now here I have created object of, sorry, reference of demo2. Okay, now can I do something like this? Can I create reference of inheritance demo2, let us say d21 is equal to new, and can I use uh, object of demo1? Okay, instead of demo2, can I use something like this? Okay, if I use something, so what I'm trying to do is reference of demo2. Why I'm trying this? Because I know that they are in relationship. They are parent child relationship, right? So that's the reason I'm trying this different combination. First I have object and reference of same class, that is of my child class, and it worked perfectly fine. Now I have reference of my child class and object of my parent class, and it says there is a type mismatch, we cannot convert it, right? So this kind of combination is not supported. So that means not supported combination. Okay, so what this means is I cannot create the reference of my parent class and assign it to the, sorry, I cannot create a reference of my child class and I assign it to my parent class. I cannot do that. I get a compile time error. Next, next what I'll do? Okay, now what I'll do is I'll use inheritance demo1. Inheritance demo1 d1 is equal to new inheritance demo1. Okay, so this is again straightforward. This is like how I create the reference of I create object of the class. Here I am doing reference of demo1 and object of demo1. So this is again a very straightforward. Let me just print this. Okay, so now if I do d1, okay, now do you understand, we are creating the object of demo1 class and we are assigning it to demo1 class. That means now I won't be able to call this d3 method, right? Because it is present in demo2 and I'm simply creating object of this demo1 class. As well, I won't be able to call this overridden method, right? Sorry, overriding method. So this method is called as overriding method, whereas the method m1 from demo1 class is overridden method, right? Because overridden and overriding. So this method is overriding from demo2 class. This is overriding method. This method is going to override. And which is the overridden method? This is the overridden method. Fine. So now, since I'm creating object of this demo1 class, I will be able to access all the objects from this demo1 class only. That's again very straightforward. I won't be able to use anything from this demo2 class. D1 dot m1 and m2, and again you see everything is coming from demo1 class. If I do, it is coming from demo1 class, and if I do D2 dot m1 m2, again it is coming from demo1 class. So this is again kind of straightforward, right? Now the things come when I do something like, okay, inheritance demo1 d11 is equal to new, and if I do new, do you see I'm getting the suggestions like, okay, I can use inheritance demo 2 as well, right? And this time I do not get any compile time errors, right? So what this mean is demo1 is my, what's my demo1 here? Demo1 is my parent class over here, right? So I can create reference of parent and object of child. Right. So what I'm doing is I'm creating reference of parent. So this demo1 is my parent class. I'm creating a reference of my parent and I'm creating object of the child. Okay. And now if I do, let me print this.
Oh, earlier we have done the reverse.
Right. Earlier we have done the reverse.
Okay, so parent can be reference, but the children always be object.
Yes. Okay, and if I do d11 now, so I should see methods are coming from demo1 only, right? So you see m1 is coming from demo1, m2 is coming from demo2, demo1, and sm1 is coming from demo1. So all things are coming from demo1 class.
So no interface of demo2. So no method is coming from demo2.
Right. So that means yeah, so let's execute now. So here I am done with all the combination. The second combination is not supported, that is I cannot create the reference of my child class and object of my parent class. This combination is not supported. Okay, so if I execute this, okay, so the very first thing is we created reference of demo2 and object of demo2. That's very straightforward. And here this method, here I want to write my own implementation. This method is getting overridden, and m2 is getting called from demo1 and m3 is getting called from demo2. That's pretty straightforward that we saw. Then again we created the reference and object of demo1, right? Again very straightforward, like creating object of the class, right? All the methods are getting called from demo1. Fine. Now the here is the trick. So here I'm creating a reference of parent class and object of child class, right? So a reference of my parent class, which is demo1, and object of my child class. And here while I was doing d11 dot, if I do d11 dot and if I type m1, here it says, okay, the things will come from inheritance demo1. Okay, the things will come from inheritance demo1, but in actual what has happened, the m1 method got executed from inheritance demo2, right? Because here I want to write my own implementation is in here in inheritance demo2. Agree? So this is because this particular method is getting overridden. Agree?
A lot of confusion here. So here one thing, here it is saying like D11 means all the methods supposed to be come from demo1, right?
Right. Right, but because
it
but
will go
but
and
because
search one method in demo 1, but then it will find the same method is also available in a 2, and that is
right,
written override, so it will call that 2 method, right?
right, and that is because I'm creating object of that particular method, so it will get called.
Okay, we try to remember also, try to understand also, but one thing, why we do all this thing?
Uh okay, so why
If we
we
know the benefit of this, then I think we can understand easily.
Okay, so two straightforward example we saw. Okay, so this parent class object and parent class reference very straightforward, and this child class object and child class reference is very straightforward. Fine. Now, when we use this thing, okay. So if you remember, uh, okay. So when we use list, I'm not sure if we use list till now. Okay. So if I use list, so how I use list, then I use what kind of list it is. My list is of type string, string, and then I use something like, okay, list L is equal to new, and then what I use is I don't use something like list. I don't use something like this. Okay. Ye- Let me just do a quick import. Okay, if I do something like this, what error I get, cannot instantiate a type list, right? So what I need to do is I need to use array list over here. Array list. Why? Because this, if I go to this list is a interface. Okay, and where I was, and this array list was a class which was, where is the class name? Yeah, array list is a class which was implementing the array list. Okay, so implements and extends, both concepts are more or same. In extends, what we do is we use the properties of one method into another method, right? So here what is happening, let us try and understand. I'm creating the object of okay, or what I can do is, uh, this will be again confusing. Okay, so what I'll do is I will explain the same concept to you when we talk about this specific example, when we talk about how we create this, why we write this specific statement, what is the interface, and what is why we write interface is equal to new class. Okay, so while I explain this, at that time I will relate this concept with this. I think that time you should be able to understand this. But for now we can just understand that, okay, if I'm creating the reference of my parent class, method from my parent class will get called, but if anything is getting overridden and if they have a parent child relationship, then that specific overriding method will get called. Okay, in Selenium test automation framework I don't see this thing will be used, the last option will be used, but yes, inheritance concept we will be using definitely, because what we will be doing is we will be creating one class called as test base, and we will be extending that test base class into all the classes, because I want to use the same driver to the all the classes. Let me just check if I have created that example in my framework. Oh, there it is. Okay, so see, I have one class called as test base over here, and in my test base class, I'm creating my WebDriver manager, and I'm doing timeout, and I'm waiting, and I'm doing something. Okay, and in my test cases or in my page objects, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to extend it. Okay, so here I didn't wrote it, but I'm going to extend my test base everywhere in my all the classes wherever I want to use this specific driver, because I have defined my driver over here, right? WebDriver driver, and if I want to use the same driver everywhere, right? So how can I use this driver to other classes? The one approach is I can return this driver like this, return driver, and then I can call this method, and like how I did this time. So here I created its object, and I where it is, yeah, so I use something like driver is equal to, I'm calling that method to get the driver. But if you instead of returning the driver from here, if you just want to use this variable which is defined over here, if you just want to directly use this, then we will be using something like this. We will be using extends test base. Then whatever driver, whatever so driver is kind of variable over here, right? Of type web driver. So this driver variable I should be able to use directly instead of creating the object of that class. So what I did currently, I created object of test base class, and then I accessed it using test base dot launch browser. So that's how I got the driver. But instead of that, what I can do is I can simply extend this test base over here, and I should be able to use driver, right? Because I am extending, so I will be getting all the properties of this test base class, which will be my parent class now, into my child class, which will be this vehicle insurance calculator in this case. Okay, so this thing will get more clear when we start building the framework, and that time we can understand in better way. But yes, we will be using it in our projects, inheritance concept. Okay, so any questions now?
Question, once I will understand more, then I will ask. Because right now I try to understand. If like first time when you told, then I understand. Then the second time you told, I understand. But
It's
after that,
little
I
confused.
confused little bit. So I will go through again this video and then I can tell you.
Fine, no issues. Yeah. And one more thing, if you noticed over here, so the last 2 points basically. So last 2 points is the subclass inherit all the methods, that is fields, methods, and nested classes from the superclass that we saw. But the constructors are not a member, so they cannot be inherited by subclass. Okay, so if I have a constructor in demo1 class, okay, so how can I create a constructor? I can create simply the method with the same name as my class name. Okay, so if I paste my class name and if I do control dot, it gives me a suggestion. Do you want to create a constructor? Yes, I want to, right? So I cannot override this constructor. Constructor of demo1. Right, so what it is saying is constructor are not a members, right? Because constructor gets created automatically when you create the object of that class, get instantiated automatically when you create object of the class. So they are not a member, they are created automatically by JVM, right? So they cannot be inherited. But the constructor of superclass can be invoked from the subclass. How? We'll show you. So this is my constructor of superclass, right? So this demo1 is my superclass or is my parent class, and this demo2 is my subclass or a child class. Right now, if I execute, so see this constructor, I just wrote this constructor of demo1, and before constructor, if I see the result, uh, okay, so I didn't do any changes in this demo2, right? I'll simply execute it again, and you should see the constructor is getting invoked. Okay, so in the first case, what I was doing is I was creating the object of demo2, reference of demo2, and object of demo2. I didn't touch this demo1 anywhere, right? But still I see the message demo1 constructor. Why? Because what will happen is I'm creating the object of inheritance demo2, object and reference of inheritance demo2. So what that means is the default so this inheritance demo2 do not have any constructor, right? So it will have the default constructor internally. So that default constructor will get called, right? And the default constructor will check, okay, is it inheriting anything? Yes, it is inheriting demo1. Now let us execute the constructor of demo1. So these things happen internally. So irrespective whether I'm calling it or not, the things will get called automatically. Okay, so you see, even if I'm not creating object of demo1, the constructor of demo1 is getting called because I'm extending it from demo2. Fine. And if you want to call it explicitly, then you can use some keyword called as super. Okay, so this super keyword we'll talk later on. We'll be having some separate session on how we use this super keyword. So what is, can you see I'm using this super inside of some method, right? M3 is method, and what error I get error like constructor call must be first statement in a constructor. So I should use it in constructor only, right? So if I do something like inheritance demo 2, okay, and if I create its constructor of inheritance demo 2, then I should be able to use super over here. Okay, and this time do you see I don't get any error, right? And if I click on this super and if I go inside that, can you see it is taking me to the constructor of demo 1, right? That means this super keyword represents a constructor, okay, constructor of parent class, okay, super method. Okay, so I am saying not super keyword, I am saying method created using super keyword. Okay, otherwise you can use super in different way as well. Okay, refers parent class constructor. Okay, but this thing we need not to call because the things are getting called automatically, right? Even if I call, I will not get any error. Okay, the things will behave as it is. Can you see constructor of demo 1 is getting created? Earlier also it was getting created, it was getting created internally, but now I am defining it explicitly. Okay, call it, the same thing will happen again. Okay, so but the point to remember is we cannot override it. Okay, we cannot override this particular constructor, or we cannot call it explicitly. The call will happen internally. uh, is this clear?
Yes, I will understand, but I will read again.
Yeah, you need to read it again, and you need to do little practice so that you can get things. But the important point here, what we use in Selenium here is simply like this. Okay, if I have some methods over here, can I use this method somewhere else? Yes. How? By using this extends keyword. I can simply use extends, and then I can create the object, and then I should be able to, if I create object of this child class, then I should be able to access the methods of my child class as well as methods of my parent class. That's what the concept, and which we are going to use, this simple concept we are going to use in our Selenium framework. The
Oh,
other things are a bit kind of interview preparation and kind of those stuff, but this is the simple thing and which we will be using in our framework, how to reuse the method basically. So this thing again, you can understand when we'll be talking about some more oops concepts. So this is the first oops concept. Okay, I didn't mention it. So this is first object oriented programming concept. Okay, so there are some oops concept. So oops concepts, like the first one we saw, inheritance. Then we have encapsulation. Then we have polymorphism. Right, so we'll be talking about all these concepts one by one. So we talked about inheritance. Tomorrow maybe we'll talk about either we'll see what we can talk, and then we have some more called as interface. We have something called as abstraction. So all these concepts, abstraction. So all these are oops concepts which we will be talking about. So initially when you hear it first time, this might be confusing, but we need to read it again and again, and we need to practice it again and again. So if you take example of any programming language, C Sharp, Python, all will be using the same oops concept. Okay, so there won't be any difference into the oops concept. There will be similar kind of, okay, reference, extends, and interface, polymorphism, everything will be there. Okay, just kind of syntactical difference will be there, but the oops concepts will remain same. Okay, so we'll continue tomorrow about next object oriented programming concept. Okay, so any questions before I stop today?